Plastic Model Builders. I am Ari, your host. This is the next model we're going to be doing. It's a Republic Star Destroyer. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's from some series about magical space wizards fighting other magical space wizards with big light swords and things like that. I got this at a convention. It looked like a pretty interesting model to do. It's not an airplane, but this is Plastic Model Builders. So this is it. We're going to open up this box and show you what's inside and look at the instructions. We'll see how to put this thing together. So here's what's inside. Simple, comes with these right here. Just keep everything flat, that way nothing presses down on it. So these are the instructions. On pages 5 and 6, we have our decals. So there's approximately 5 decals on here, numbers 1 through 4. Stick those back in. There's not a lot of them. That makes things a lot easier. Let's see what kind of colors we have on this model. There are 9 different colors to this model. Aluminum, flat black, flat dark gray, flat light gray, flat medium gray, flat yellow, gloss light blue, insignia red, and jet exhaust. That is a lot of flat. So we're going to have to spray some parts gloss just to get the decals to stick. Remember that, it's important, otherwise they silver. Parts wise, unlike typical models, usually you will find right on the second page would be the parts listing. It doesn't have them here, so I don't know how many parts are on this, but we're going to look and see what we have in the box. We have one big bag here. It's got 4 trees inside of it, and another bag right here which has the main body, and those are just 2 parts inside. As always, I wash my parts in warm soapy water. Get the soap mixed in real good. We drop our parts in. Sometimes you want to flip them over, do front and the back side. That way we get everything. Once you let it sit for about 15 minutes, I just rinse my parts off really good. I let them sit for maybe 15-20 minutes to an hour, depending on where it is. That way they dry. So this is the first time I am doing panel lines. I've never done that before on a model, but I figure for this one, I may as well do it. So as you can see, this is the bottom of this ship. And right here, we are doing more panel lines on the opposite side. This is almost the bottom, completely done with panel lines. I'm going kind of dark as, like I said, I've never done it before. This is the top of the ship. There is a bunch of panel lines all over this. So just keep at it. This is the top portion. Here's another part of the wing. A lot of panels to do, a lot of lines. Just keep at it. Slowly but surely, you will definitely get them done. We're getting closer to the front of the body of the main hull of this spaceship. And just keep at it. Right here, this will go on the back of the model. It's for the engine. There are 2 pieces to that you can see that I've done. This will go onto the main top of the control tower, which you see I'm doing here. There are 2 halves to that control tower. We see a fin right there, which is going on the back of the model where the engines are. Here's more of the control tower from the other side, and of course you'll see that other flap on the engine that goes there. This right here will go on the back of the block that goes on the engine. Here I am painting this a medium gray, has 3 colors to it. This is the control tower. I do a couple of coats, that way you could slowly see the black disappear from the panels. I really wasn't too concerned how the appearance of the panel lines looked, just as long as they were done. As I said, it was an experiment, never done it before, so the only way to do it is to do it. We are slowly painting more gray. This model has tons of gray, flat gray, dark gray, and medium gray. Here we have another piece. They go all over the place. This is for the control tower. You see 2 things there. That'll be for the control tower. This is a bay door that goes in between the model. These are the rocket engines. It's got a bunch of those. These that you show here are also going in between the model. Most of these parts I tried to work and get all the colors done all at once that I was doing. That way it wasn't too hard shifting. I did miss some pieces and I had to go back because there were a lot of pieces that were in the same color. Here's another rocket engine. This is the back side of it. You see 2 more. Just go over light coats, work in different directions because they got a lot of different grooves in there. You want to make sure you get everything covered, so I turn it different ways. Here I'm spraying a flat gray onto the model. It is a light gray. It's virtually the same color as the actual casting and the molds. So just be careful. The black definitely helps me see what I'm doing. I'm working slow, just making sure I cover all the panel lines, and I do a bunch of coats. That way we can slowly see the panel lines disappearing, but at the same time, you still know they're there because it shines through just a little bit through this paint. Here I am, this is the bottom of the spacecraft, going back and forth with the airbrush. I took my time, I didn't want to rush this. Here it is, one coat is almost done on the bottom side. You know, I just made sure all the paint was gone. Here I am actually painting, you just can't tell because, as I said, it's a light white on a light, a light gray on a light gray. That goes inside the ship. This is the block that goes behind the engine. Here you can see the line just disappearing. I did it a little bit thicker there. Here we're going on the other side, this other half of that engine block. And here's one more angle of that. This will be the block that actually mounts all the engines and that long piece that we were doing. Just go over this. Like I said, I am painting it. It's hard to tell. I'm covering a bunch of different angles. This is a fin that'll go on the engines too. It's in the behind and you'll have to press that down. There are two of those. Here's the other one, just putting some more paint on that, and I go over everything again. Like I said, just different angles. These go on the undersides of the control deck, two little towers. So here are the actual towers that those fit under. I don't actually show me putting those on, but they are there. Go in different directions here. Like I said, with everything. This goes on the bottom of the craft. It's another bay door. Get that really good. Here we're going to put a second coat of light gray on. Just go over this model. We take our time. We make sure it's done right. And you can see it definitely adds some detail with those panel lines being black as they are. We're almost done here painting this top of the model. I'm sorry, this is the bottom of the model. And we just almost completed. Here is the last part of that wing. I'll probably do another coat until those panel lines look just about gone. Here this is completed for that second coat. Looks like I'm putting on another third coat right here, and you see those lines disappearing to where they really stand out, and it looks like a nice old type of ship. Here's the front of the ship, the top, just going over the same that we did the bottom. Back and forth, doing nice even coats until you see those panel lines just slowly disappearing. Here's one of the wings on that. There's a lot of detail to this model, so you just have to take your time and just know that eventually all the painting, it's worth it, and then you'll get it done and it'll look really nice. Here we are doing those fins. The other fin right here. This is going to go on the bottom side of the model, and this is that back portion that attaches to the engine block, which is just below it. Here are the towers that mount on the main control deck, two little rear engines. This is all the detail. A lot of it, like I said, painting some dots here black. There's a couple of those on each side. So I just have a fine tip brush that I'm using for that and just slowly working. I wasn't too concerned by how neat it looked because I could wipe some of it off and I could just say some of its age or whatnot. Here, this is a small part that you want to make sure you get just before you glue everything together because some of these are in odd spots. Breaking these off of the sprues, we're going to assemble this after we paint these right here, which is just more detail. I found it easier to paint them before I assembled it. That way I could get the angles that I wanted to and I could hold it perfectly. A lot of white, this is light gray detail right here. If you know a better way to do it, I'm all ears. So here's one more. There's three of these little raised details on each side. So like I said, a lot of tedious painting for this aircraft. I did everything freehand. I didn't bother with too much masking tape. I just didn't feel like doing that. I figure however it turned out, I would be happy with it. This is the other side, just slowly working, going along. Here's some more raised detail on that panel. Just go slow with it and take your time and you will get it done. Almost done with this little portion here, and we have two more left after this. And now we've got one more left, and I think after we do this, we will assemble this together. If not, there's probably a couple more raised portions that I'm sure I will have to do. And sure enough, here they are. 3 more on this side, and there might be 3 more on the other side. We're going to do that, and then maybe even a top piece also goes on top of that. So here's that other side. You can see the black areas that I did. I may even wind up doing the windows on this too, and those go a light blue. I can't remember exactly how I did it, but we'll see here. These go in between those two halves, so we want to make sure we're going to paint those black, and the detail on here will go light gray. Here are the windows I was talking about. I used Blue Angel Blue. The plan calls for a light blue, but it's whatever. I enjoyed using whatever color I wanted to. Another fine tip brush. Kind of did it the same way I would do instrument panels. Just get a little bit on there and just slowly move that brush on there until you see it filling in the color. There's a lot of windows on this. There'll even be some on some black paint, and didn't show out too well, but I was happy with it because it's not like anyone's going to pick this model up and just dissect it and look at it with a fine-tooth comb. We're almost done all these windows on this side. There were people that I've seen on YouTube, they put lights on theirs, and that's pretty darn cool. I just don't feel like going to the extent of that for a model because I'm not really getting paid to do it. Here we go, almost done painting these windows right here. These are those black things I was talking about. Nothing has a name on it, so you kind of just have to make a name up for it like everything else in Star Wars. Once this black paint dries, I will probably put on this light gray coat, which you see me doing now. There are 4 of these little guys here. Once we get those out, we're going to break these off the sprues, and we are going to attach them to each face of the main hall block that holds the control decks. Here we are, we're taking them off. Make sure you clean them good. Use small dabs of glue. They can only go in one way because you can see by their orientation. Just put them in, make sure they're pressed firmly down, and here is the other side. And once we do that, we are going to put some light gray detail right here. This piece will go in between those, so you'll have to break that off. Once you break that off with a sprue, you're going to glue it onto 1/2 of the control decks, which we're doing right here. And then after we glue that onto that half, we're going to push the other half down and secure it in place. Now that we've got this pressed down, we want to make sure it's firm. Put some more glue in between on the other side. And here we are mounting these two halves together. They've got tabs on them. You might have to do some filing to put all the other pieces on. Right here, I'm just going to test fit this, see how it fits. Looks like it goes in decently, so we know that's good. We're going to put a couple of decals on here. These 2 thin lines, they go just right here, just above these 3 little dots. I'm putting a gloss coat on there. That way these don't silver in the event that they have some sort of little bit left on there of the decal when they made them. Pushing it down into place. I didn't even bother going flat. Here's some more detail. This goes onto that control deck too. It's on the back side, and just slowly go over it. We got some lines, we got some circles, got some inlay detail. Like I said, if you know a better way to do this, I'm more than happy to listen because this thing was a pain to do. So we have more little detail. There's even more up at the top, a couple bit on the sides. There's 3 of these black things on each side. Those are now finished. Got 3 little lines here that are in the middle. Going to get 1, 2, and 3. Now those are done. Here is detail. This will go onto the middle of that. We want to make sure that fits. Just work slow with it. That's the best I can tell you. This model, like I said, and I've repeated many times, lots of detail to it. These little squares are done. Also has a lot of color. This is a toothpick with some flat medium gray that I'm putting in between here. Do these little areas. This was the only way I could think of how to do this. We're going to paint the top here. It's also a flat medium gray. We also have dark gray at sometimes. I don't think there's any on this particular spot. Just using that toothpick again to get these fine little areas. Just another way to do it. You can brush away any of that excess if you're not comfortable with having it on there. Me, I wasn't too picky and I didn't mind. Just using it right here to fill in those spots. We're going to break it off with a sprue right here. And this is that back portion. See, it doesn't want to go on, so we have to file that down just a little bit and make sure it goes properly. So we're filing that right there on the inside, and we'll glue it down, and that concludes part 1. For part 2, check back for other videos, subscribe, that way you get the update, and don't forget to comment and like. See you on the next one.